enhance my learning on that also. Now, responding to your question on the coming elections, I would like to locate it in the broader context of the democracy in focus discussion we are having here, where you talk about issues, people, and choices. I could not think of a better example than Kerala for something that I said 8 years ago, off the cuff on television. We were having the discussion after a result emerged, a dramatic result for that matter. And the anchor was going around asking people, who is the hero of this election? Who is the hero of the election? And they obviously wanted us to take the name of a person who had been responsible for that verdict as they saw it. And he immediately turned to me and said, Professor Shastri, who is the hero of this election? Without battling an eyelid, I said, the voter of this state is the hero of this election. And I would say the same when it comes to every election in Kerala that I have seen. That the wisdom, sagacity, and farsight of the voter of this state really makes this democracy work. Because in Indian democracy, one window that is open, visible, transparent, and always there to be seen is the window of elections. That's why some people, I don't know if Dr. Gopa Kumar also does that, some people say we are an election-only democracy. That's the only vibrant sign of democracy in the country, but thankfully that vibrant sign is very much present. Coming deeper to the question that you posed, the importance of the election happening in the coming month, because all the 4 elections will be completed in April. And I hope it's no April Fool's joke on us that all these 4 elections are in the same month. But I must say that in the cycle of elections that we have in 5 years, this is one of those rare elections where the northern part of India and the western part of India do not take part. Because I rarely see a cycle of elections without one state of the north or one state of the west taking part. This is an exclusively East India, Northeast India, and South of India elections. Which means this round provides us a flavor which is very different from, if I could use a strong word, the dominating flavor of the north and the west. And therefore, for me, this election is special. I've also written that this round of elections is important because it provides us what I would call a democracy dividend. The voter gets a dividend in this election because every election among this 4+1 is very unique and very special. Number one, I think it's not just a test of democratic resilience, it is a test of federal resilience. Do we go with the argument that we want a double-engine sarkar? Because except in 1 or 2 states, double-engine sarkar is actually one engine leading the other engine. So do we actually need a double-engine sarkar? Or is it 2 engines going on 2 parallel tracks, which is actually good for a country? One is the national engine, one is the state engine. So I think these are some of the issues for me which will be resolved in these 4+1 elections. And finally, the more specific point which I'd like to make. I would divide these 4 elections into 3 categories. I would put Kerala and Assam in one category because both these states see an incumbent which has been there for 10 years being challenged. Assam has an incumbent for 10 years, the BJP. Kerala has an incumbent for 10 years, which is the LDF. But there is a difference. The Kerala incumbent has had the same chief minister for 10 years. The Assam incumbent has had two chief ministers across two terms. A Sonowal who led a coalition which was largely rooted in the indigenous people's strength, and the current chief minister who leads a coalition which is trying to make a more broader, rightly or wrongly, majoritarian sentiment. Now, Kerala and Karnataka in very many ways have been similar. We have had different verdicts in Lok Sabha elections and Vidhan Sabha elections. And I hope you don't mind me saying this. At least on this matter, Karnataka is the elder brother, because we started this in 1985. For the last 39 years, Karnataka has not had a ruling party coming back to power with a majority. And we have always had a different verdict in Lok Sabha, different verdict in Vidhan Sabha elections. You started that trend very specifically last time by rejecting the revolving door policy. Now, will that revolving door continue to revolve? Syriac sir made some very important points there, and I'll just add a footnote to what you said. Correct me if I'm wrong, Gopa Kumar sir. This election seems to be an election which is there for the UDF to win, but this is that election where UDF alone can lose this election. They alone will be responsible if something else happens on April 9th. If a Haryana happens in Kerala, you see, if I could put it that way. Now, will they repeat what they do of snatching defeat from the jaws of victory? And this would be one test case, whether it would happen. Sir, I have a minor difference. I think the third force in Kerala is a distant third force and has a long-term game plan much beyond this election. Their game plan seems to be, I differ marginally from you on that, their game plan seems to be to challenge the left, emerge as the second player, and then fight the bigger battle with the Congress. My own reading of the Kerala situation is basically that. But I think this election, the mother of all battles is West Bengal. Not because we have a big mother fighting the battle there, but I call it the mother of all battles because this is a second category. A chief minister who faces 15 years of incumbency. I don't say anti-incumbency, I say 15 years of incumbency. Does she convert it into pro-incumbency, or does the BJP manage to convert it into anti-incumbency is what we need to see. The dramatic way in which West Bengal has changed in terms of its politics, again, be it a Lok Sabha election or a Vidhan Sabha election. The BJP went up to 40.6% in not the last but the earlier to that Lok Sabha election, and came up to around 38% in the last election. So I think it's a big fight there, but my argument also is the BJP's greatest weakness in West Bengal, which Mamata is trying to capitalize on, is the absence of a credible, visible, challengeable local face. While the national leadership may get them votes, but at the end of the day, West Bengal, like Kerala, is a state where voter looks at who is coming to power at the state level. Now, your BJP quotes, look what happened in Odisha. But Odisha is very different from West Bengal. And I think that is the major obstacle which the BJP faces in West Bengal. My last 2 minutes on this. I think Tamil Nadu, the fight between the two alliances seems to be a very, very potent question. Last time around, the gap between the DMK and Anna DMK alliance was nearly 6%. In the earlier election, it was less than 1 percentage point. So this time, I think it's going to be much more like the 2016 election, where there was a closer fight between the two. Again, like Kerala, I think the BJP has a long-term plan in Tamil Nadu. It is not just about this election. That's why they have conceded all the seats they have conceded in the vote sharing, in the seat sharing 2 days ago. I think the BJP strategy is to weaken the DMK alliance, is to take over the leadership of the opposition alliance and then challenge the main party. They tried it in the Lok Sabha election, it did not work. So they realized that to challenge the DMK-led alliance, you need to have a local party. They were hoping against hope that all the efforts with Vijay would work, but it has not. Because A, Vijay was demanding the chief ministership and a high number of seats, which the Anna DMK was not willing to concede. So the alliance has not been able to come through. So I think it's a tough fight there, and you are likely to see a repeat of the 2016 in terms of vote share. Who is that 1% ahead? I really don't know. Assam again as I said, while it's 10 years in power, it is two different formulas they have used, first 5 years and the next 5 years. Again, I think the Congress is concentrating much more on Kerala than on Assam, because these are the two winnable states for them. There seems to be a much greater focus here. Whereas in Assam, the advantage they have is AIDUF has got weaker in the lower valley there, and will they take advantage of that is the question. Finally, last point on Kerala. Kerala politics saw an interesting change in the last two elections, where the gap between the LDF and UDF went up to 6 percentage points in both those elections. Whereas the election held earlier to that, in 2016, in the election earlier to 2016, the one in 2011, saw just a 0.9 percentage gap between the LDF and UDF. The LDF has been able to raise that to 6%. Now, there are indications that that is going to be a challenge. But then, as I said, nobody can defeat the Congress but itself. And I think Kerala will be an important test case for that in the next 2 months. I'll stop here, because I also am keen to listen to Dr. Gopa Kumar and would be happy to respond to any questions that come up.
I have a different question or same question?
Thank you for setting that stage, sir. Before we start our in-depth discussion on Kerala's electoral politics, I would like to hear your response on setting the national.
Now, I don't have much to add, because most of the aspects have been very well covered by Dr. Sandeep Shastri. I must say that these midterm elections offer great opportunity for the electorate to conduct a proper social audit on the performance of the respective governments. We are a federal system, so state elections are extremely important. I am personally against the idea of one nation, one election, because every region has its own specificities, and therefore their concerns, issues, challenges are too many and complex. To put it all in one basket and combine with the national election actually goes against the spirit of federal democracy. And that way, this midterm election in all these states mentioned offer great opportunity for the people to understand the dynamics of those regions. In a way, it represents what is happening in the country. We had the Lok Sabha elections in 2024, and the future of Lok Sabha elections in 2029. We are not sure whether we will be able to complete two major accomplishments. Number one, the census in 2027, followed by the delimitation exercise, in which 33% reservation for women should also be given. So, 2029 is not that far, but definitely lot of challenges are there, because even when you complete the census, there is a question of delimitation, and that is exactly where most of the South Indian and North Indian regional specificities, differences, divergences, and also the problem of growth, economy, and other things are also brought into focus. We are a parliamentary democracy, and therefore the number matters. So how is it that delimitation exercise is going to impact upon us? Perhaps this election, midterm election we are going ahead, is a great opportunity before the delimitation and before the actual reservation for women are going to happen. So that way it is very important. And being a federal democracy, I think every state has its own dynamics and its own concerns, its own problems. At the same time, as your question broadly raised, the national issues, and therefore we are at a highly inflection point with the global developments happening, affecting our economy, society, and also the challenges in globalization. So how the country is going to face this, and what sense the regions wanted to convey. So in that sense, these sub-regional and regional elections are also mattering before the larger Indian political system. And together it provides a great opportunity. Elections are the festivals of democracy. We are more than an electoral democracy, because under parliamentary system, elections bring lot of changes, and these changes are fundamentally social, followed by political and economic. So one after another, when voter goes to poll, he will take these factors into consideration, and also that politics is not only historical and futuristic, it is contextual also. And what is a context today? I think that is a mirror that is going to reflect in the coming election. Thank you.
Thank you both for setting that stage. Now, moving on to the detailed analysis of Kerala's elections, I would like to start with Dr. Sandeep Shastri. About, like, there has been much discussion on how the UDF and the LDF and the BJP is going to fare in this election. But one point is the regional parties. We don't see much discussion about parties like, say, 2020 or IUML. How are they going to perform in these elections? So how would you see these regional parties making any dent in the upcoming elections, or how the coalitions or alliances is going to make a difference in the upcoming election?
To start off with, I would offer a clarification. In my writings over the last 10 years, I have avoided using the word regional party, because I think there is nothing regional about parties which have a base limited to a particular state. I would prefer to call them state-based parties rather than regional parties, because it's just that their electoral support is limited to a particular state. Now, coming to Kerala's context, my own understanding is, given the strong nature of the two alliance competition that you have in the state, because if you look at elections in Kerala, 80% plus of the vote share in the election goes to, more or less goes to the two alliance parties. So what we call the state-based parties, which are present as part of both the alliances, what happens is these state-based parties are part of a larger state-based alliance, which are both led by parties which have a larger footprint beyond the state. So therefore, given the leadership of these alliances, these state-based parties are the ones which more or less play, if I could use a stronger term, a second fiddle role within the alliance. It's much more the larger umbrella of the LDF and the UDF which tends to dominate. And this is a factor which the BJP is increasingly trying to exploit as part of this election, where the BJP has been making pinpointed comments about these state-based players who are part of both the alliances and making comments about their role, their performance, their stand, the issues that they raise as part of their election campaign. Because I think over the years the BJP realizes that one way to make inroads into this very, very strong by-alliance competition that you have in Kerala is by trying to nibble at both and then carve over time that third space. And that's why I continue to assert the point I made earlier, that the plan for the BJP in Kerala, they have a long-term plan, and it's not just about this election or the last election. As I reiterate the point I made, that their first and immediate goal seems to be to weaken the LDF and then emerge as, in their hope, the leading opposition, and then challenge the main principal contestants, which, even if it were to take another election or so, seems to be fine for them. And if you look at their vote share in assembly elections, it's been 11% last time, if I'm right, and 10.6% earlier. And again, I would be a little cautious in looking at the Lok Sabha verdict, where depending on whether you talk of the BJP and its alliance or BJP alone, it is 16.68% alone and 19.21% with its supporting allies. I would concede that it was a good performance, but I would not make that the benchmark for looking at assembly elections, because the issues in an assembly election and a Lok Sabha election are very different. So I would still go back to that 11.3% of last time and see what, and they also would be looking at what incremental raise can happen as compared to that vote share. But I would still believe it is going to be a principal contest between the UDF and LDF this time also. And a lot depends upon how much the UDF puts its house in order. Issues like internal fighting within the party, projection of a common image, now how much the type of social coalition you build up, I think that becomes important for the UDF.
Sir, let me hear your thoughts on the question.
Well, first of all, my comments about the state parties, of which Indian Union Muslim League matters the most. I have written that Indian Union Muslim League is not a regional party of Kerala, but a sub-regional party in the state. Although it contests in some states of some seats in Tamil Nadu, the Muslim League is focusing more in North Malabar, and that too in pockets like the districts of Malappuram, Kasaragod, Calicut, Wayanad, etc., where they have a strong presence. And they are likely to repeat that performance this time also. Even in the last election, they defended their fortress well. This time it is going to be much more, with the kind of bandwagon they are going to develop. And as one UDF political leader told me, the Muslim League is the only party which can supply votes to UDF in all the seats in Kerala. But there is a difference. The difference is that Muslim community is around 28% throughout Kerala, but Muslim League is restricted to 3 or 4 districts of the state. That is my take on why it is called a sub-regional party. Although the term state party has been given by its recognition and performance, it is regionally centered. There is a political geography for the Muslim League. I know it has some little presence in Kalamassery. I am not ignoring that. That way it has some small pockets, but it is a majoritarian party elsewhere. And those regions they are very dominant. And coming to the question of the bipolar politics and its trends, I would say that the traditional bipolar politics which Kerala held sway for a very long time is now under challenge. Because not only the BJP, the attempt to create a third front is ably supported by the central government or the BJP at the national level, and therefore they are trying to get probable supporters which can supply electoral support to them, which unfortunately they could not. But eventually, because as a student of politics, I have watched the performance of Hindu Munnani in 1984 and thereafter the rise of BJP. So I am following it right from its strength of 1%, 2%, 3%, 6%, 8%. So it is steadily going ahead, but it has numerable challenges in the process. Viewed from the social engineering angle, the BJP has severe restrictions. Number one, unlike in other states of India, Hindus are not a huge majority in Kerala. In my estimate, it is hardly 51%. Census speaks about 54, 55, which is not the real truth. If you take 28% of Muslims and 17% of Christians, and then you have 10% scheduled castes, scheduled tribes. But nobody takes into account the actual estimates of Dalit Christians among the scheduled castes. If you suspect around 5% easily, so because every SC will claim to be a Hindu, which is not. And then the whole statistics which you claim is totally irrelevant. So there is a severe structural limitation for the BJP to grow. With 51% maximum that you can expect in the Hindu population. And then because Kerala had undergone serious reformation, so much of influence had been impacted by social reformers, mostly Hindu social reformers. And therefore, unlike in other states of India, the Hindutva ideology will not take that speed and that focus in the state of Kerala. That is why they don't get much allies also. It has hardly BDJs and 2020, not very serious workers. So if BJP wanted to grow in Kerala, its basic idea is to defeat the Communist Party of India Marxist, which is the strongest Hindu party of Kerala. But instead, they chant the idea Congress Mukta Bharat, which is a non-starter in Kerala. That is how I will put it. So Congress Mukta Bharat is a non-starter in Kerala for the BJP because their immediate challenge, as Dr. Sandeep Shastri said, is the CPIM, but they are focusing again on Congress. So they are not getting that idea first. So the Hindu dominant CPIM continues to be influenced by secular ideas, influence of Reformation, and many other impact of Renaissance, etc. And CPM's Hindu prominence has been well established. And therefore, their final challenge comes from the CPIM. Secondly, BJP wanted to grow in Kerala. They should percolate down to the Christian community as well, which they have done a little bit, not in a remarkable manner. But in the days to come or in the years to come, it won't be surprising that some section of the Christian community may find it more important to work with the BJP, being a very dominant national party. And since the church has tremendous national interest and international interest, definitely the central government is viewed as a legitimate expression, which the CPM doesn't take it seriously, nor the Congress. Because viewed from the Kerala position, actually, even the CPIM has severe national limitations. Have you noticed that already CPI is not a national party now? It is a state-specific party because its votes have gone down. CPIM hardly escaped because they got one seat in Rajasthan. Otherwise, their focus is only in Kerala and Tamil Nadu. So, viewed from the Election Commission angle, the strongest political party in terms of regionalism is the Communist Party of India, Marxist, which is very, very strong in Kerala. So that is the strongest regional party in Kerala, although it is a national party. So this is how I put it, and I would say that triangular fight has come. Out of 140 constituencies, definitely in at least 40 constituencies, the fight is heavily triangular, not just technically triangular. Technical triangular fight has gone into practice for a long time, but now the BJP is slowly strengthening, and it is trying to get minimum 40,000 votes, and I can list at least 20 or more constituencies where the BJP has more than 40,000 vote share. In the past, they aligned or secretly conducted deal with the Congress or some kind of a secret understanding, when the critics used to say that the BJP and the Congress had a deal and the BJP sold their votes to the Congress. That was a slogan in the past. But now it is the other way, that the deal is between CPIM and the Congress and the BJP. But to my mind, this cannot be generalized beyond 2 or 3 seats. Although the media speaks in high terms about the deal, I will explain why that this will not go beyond 1 or 2 or maximum 3 seats. Mainly because if you look from the social engineering angle, as I shown earlier, that the Hindu population is not dominant in Kerala census, in Kerala society, and therefore if both the BJP and the CPIM try to work within the Hindu fold, they are actually fighting themselves. So where is a secret coalition between them? Secondly, the hardcore RSS will never support a BJP, CPIM, and a hardcore CPM will never support an RSS. So I don't get much time in the television debate to highlight this point. But here I can elaborate a little more and say that this kind of understanding, ideological division, where the cadres fought and killed each other, had lot of martyrs, I don't think a secret deal is that easy. You can present strong and weak candidates, as you can say. And if that is so, even the UDF had presented weak candidates, even now in Kerala. So how do you determine weak and strong? And then you say that there is a deal. At the most, it may work in 2 or 3 constituencies, but even for the ordinary person, suppose you are a BJP sympathizer, if the leadership says, for the time being vote for CPM, I am sure you will not. So this theory of deal is a non-starter according to me. It will not work beyond 2 or 3 constituencies, and since the demography is also against them, social engineering also doesn't work in favor of them, and furthermore they are ideologically opposite poles, I reject this deal theory. But this doesn't mean that this is going to favor the CPIM or the BJP. On the contrary, the social engineering is heavily in favor of the UDF, and furthermore, I will explain further when more questions come. The anti-incumbency factor is so high that unless the Congress wanted to throw the baby with the bathwater, it is all the UDF going in a small way, but a slight trend, a wave is emerging. Thank you.
Thank you for that broad and powerful answers, sir. So when we go through the social media campaigning posted by each of these parties, one recurring theme from the BJP's front at least is, we are not focused on religious politics. We are here to stand for all the party, and our motto is development. That's what we stand for. And even when Prime Minister came for the campaigning, they were all talking much about the Gujarat model of development. So do you see something of that working in Kerala, especially Kerala, we have a lot of people, given the war also, we have a lot of people working in West Asia. So that is something important for the people of Kerala. Do you think that kind of a narrative will have a push in Kerala?
On your question, I have 2 responses. On the second question, a development focus, taking everybody with you. I would say there is a lot of rhetoric in that and very little reality in that. It's wonderful to talk about and make it a campaign slogan, make it a manifesto highlight. But when you come to the ground, what is actually being implemented to the ground I may be cynical, but I believe not just Kerala but across the country. I'll take an example. In studies that Gopa Kumar ji and I have done for the last 25 years, there is not a single survey when people are asked what is the most important problem facing the people. Among the top 3, every time, everywhere, 2 issues will come among the top 3. Unemployment and price rise. Always there. But can we convincingly say that this has impacted the verdict? Which means, yes, unemployment, yes, price rise, main problem. But when I'm standing in front of that EVM, is that still the main problem for me? Or has that gone to the background and something else come to the foreground? So, today I think parties are very clever in understanding what defines and decides the electoral choices of the voter. The unemployment and price rise, just take these 2. Yes, it's a problem. But who is best suited to solve the problem? It may be the incumbent, it may be the... I think that the opponent does not have the skill set to solve this problem. So yes, it's a problem, but I'll go with the known devil rather than the new untested devil. So what I'm saying is, there is a lot of rhetoric on development, priority, etc., etc. But let's assume to a lesser degree or a bigger degree, there are emotive issues which ultimately come to the foreground when I press the button of the EVM machine. Coming to your first question on social media. Last year we did a study on the impact of social media. We found something interesting, and this is consistent across age groups. And what was this we found? Social media does not change attitudes, it only strengthens attitudes. I don't move from this side to that side thanks to social media. If I'm already this side, I may move further that side. And let us look at all our experiences. I get a social media message on my phone. I agree with it, I save it. I don't agree with it, I delete it. Yes or no? And the message I save, who do I pass it on to? Do I pass it on to people who I know will not agree with it? No, because I don't want to create more enemies of mine. I will pass it on to people who think like me. So in a sense, social media is like an echo chamber where you listen to your own voice. Therefore I said it does not change attitudes. It only helps in strengthening, like I told you so. Gopaji, I don't know whether this is true of Kerala. In the rest of the country I find today, people have a conclusion and then search for data to justify that conclusion. We as good researchers believe first look at data and then draw your conclusion. Today a lot of people first draw their conclusion and then look for data to justify that conclusion that they want to believe in. You must have seen this a lot happening on TV discussions also.
Sir, your quick thought before we go to the Q&A session.
About social media?
Yeah.
Broadly agree with what Sandeep Shastri ji had said. The only difference in Kerala is that every political party had organized their own cyber team to react to the developments that are there. So public opinion can be conditioned, even manipulated heavily by the cyber team of these political parties. And they are doing it very effectively and efficiently. I have a tendency to look through the opinions of these questions. Then I realize there is a pattern. So that gives me confidence to say that this is more manipulated than organic.
True.
So that's a problem with Kerala social media. Kerala social media is heavily influenced by the developments that are happening, and it reaches a larger audience across the globe, not just in Kerala. And the reactions come from different parts of the globe also. But what is more influencing, if you want to attack somebody, then there is something there is an instinct to kill. And if you want to promote something, there is also another instinct to promote also. So this kind of artificial kind of gendering and promoting the ideas and trying to influence the public opinion to a great extent has been the focal point of the social media. And moreover, the younger generation are more influenced and interested by what is happening in the social media than what is actually going through, say for example, listening to television or going through the newspapers and getting an idea. And that kind of a reading and then getting the content analysis, going through serious articles and understanding, I think that kind of reading habit is declining even in Kerala. And the social media dominates, but in the process the social media becomes anti-social media. That's the tragedy of it.
Can I just add 10 seconds? While agreeing fully with Gopa Kumar sir, I'll make one point. This is exactly the point I'm making. In social media also, I look for what, if I am right of center in my thinking, I look for social media various things which are linked to that. And if I am left of center, that's what I look for. So I go back to my point that it's an echo chamber. I enjoy reading what I already believe in, and that strengthens. Yeah, absolutely. Look, there are others also who think like me. So it's a dialogue within a group which already believes in what you are saying, and only strengthens a stand that you take. So I agree with you, but I would just add that footnote to that.
Thank you for that insightful discussion.